It's that time again with the Crotchety Old Men podcast. Hi, I'm Gary Smith, your host today, and with me, joining me in the studio is my main man. I always say partner in crime, but we don't do any crime, do we, George? George Crumley, top of the day to you.
Top of the day to you, Smitty. We ain't doing no crime. We trying to do everything like legal. So yeah, we just having fun, trying to show folks how to do it, how to do the thing financially, how to get prosperous, and how just kind of do their thing.
Amen to that. Amen. So, George, what's on your mind today? What should we talk about today and share with our audience?
Well, Smitty, since we're always talking about opportunities, I thought this would be a good time to talk about some real estate, but not just real estate in the old way as we've talked about it before, but more talk about the opportunities or, selling real estate while black, just kind of understanding some of the challenges that we may run into or perceived as challenges. I was reading an article, it said 6% of real estate agents and brokers in the United States are black. Well, 14% of the population in the country is 14% black. So that says that there's a lot of people that are not in the real estate business, if only 6% are agents. But when you look at the population, when you look at the opportunity in real estate, it's vast, and we've kind of talked about that. And it's not just on the front end. It's not just being the agent, being the broker. There's a lot of back office stuff. I think we've talked about that, and we're going to kind of touch on a lot of those. But it can go anywhere from being working from, owning a mortgage company. It could be going from being an appraiser. There aren't a lot of black appraisers out there. And sometimes I think that's something we miss because that's a real key in any deal, whether that's commercial or residential. So, that's what we're going to talk about today.
Excellent, excellent. There's so many ways we could go with this, and yeah, I get it. And I'm sure obviously we get it. We're in the business, and having been both residential brokers or agents as well as commercial, we see it firsthand. And while true, we may not be as well represented, particularly in commercial real estate, but when you look at statistics like that, 6%, and then that spins off too because of the amount of deals that are done, uh, our opportunities to impact our communities based upon the valuations. So things that you mentioned earlier about having appraisers, uh, mortgage people, title companies, all the other careers, ancillary careers that spin off from real estate in general, it offers tremendous opportunity for us, not only from career perspectives, but also investments. We know that statistics have proven this, that number one, real estate is probably the most dominant and strongest asset class known to man. And 90% of your millionaires have become so by way of investing in some forms of fashion in real estate and the owning of it. And we hear a lot about this in terms of the wealth gap and how the owning, controlling, or managing real estate has somewhat widened that gap. So we want to talk about ways in which we can, narrow that gap on our own. Real estate, number one, is a business where you don't have to go to college to get a degree to get involved in real estate. All you need is a license, no different than a hairdresser or a barber or electrician or what have you. You get that license, and once you have that license, you have access. And I think that so often, and George, you can chime in on this, is that so often that we don't have access to deals, we don't have access to information. And a lot of that is our fault because there's nothing precludes you from going to your state registry, go online and sign up for a real estate class and go to getting your license, right?
Yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head, Smitty, because you mentioned two things, and I think a lot of those things are some of the cornerstones of what we've been talking about here on the Crotchety Old Men podcast is access and opportunity, education, information. That's what can hold you up in any kind of situation, but here, particularly in real estate, because you can get discouraged so easy easily discouraged and think that they're roadblocks, but actually they're just perceived roadblocks. You have to keep pushing that envelope to get to where you want to be. Um, I applaud a lot of the young folks that I've been meeting recently, and I don't know if it's a a something that's come out of the COVID era, because a lot of them don't want to work for corporate America. And not to say that's a good or bad thing, but I think it's given them the light, or the light has come on to say, hey, there's a lot of opportunity out here that I can do, that I can apply the same skills. And I don't necessarily need to go to college and rack up all that debt, but there's some things that I can do that will allow me to live a very prosperous life. I talked to a brother a few minutes ago, early this morning. He's doing Toro, he's doing Airbnb. He's buying or leasing a commercial building where he's going to set up a podcasting studio. So here again, it's thinking outside of the box. Not once did I hear him say, I'm going on one of these websites and posting my resume, and I'm hoping that somebody's going to call me for a job interview. And I think that's how we have to think, even if we have a job. Because remember, we never encourage anyone to quit an opportunity, to quit a job, because we all have to survive. But what we do encourage you to do is look outside of the box and see what kind of other opportunities out there. Since I retired, I have run across so many opportunities to make money. And I keep going back to, what you said a couple of weeks ago, Smitty. Don't chase the money, look for the opportunities. Man, that is so key. That is so key in anything that you do. And there are so many opportunities out by opening your mouth and starting a conversation. I mean, that's where the opportunity begins.
You know, that is spot on, man, because relationships is so important, and we have to get back to that, of our relationships with each other, relationships as it relates to business. While the and we can't really focus on the doors that are closed. We must focus on the doors that are open, because small hinges swings big doors. And so I say that quote to say this, and that uh, as we keep our eyes open and our ears open to look for opportunities to serve one another and to give, because there's, I think one of the greatest teachers of all mankind says it's a bigger blessing to give than to receive. And so, real estate, regardless of what area that you find yourself in, it is an industry of service. All right. You're going to be rewarded to the degree of service that you deliver. You're going to be paid in proportion to the value of service that you deliver. So when a man or woman becomes involved in the real estate business, period, it's always going to be of some aspect of service. And so, as we again, you get your license. As long as you keep your license, no different than a driver's license, any other license, as long as you continue to, abide by the rules of the law and things of that nature, you can have that real estate license from the time you get it to the time you take your last breath. There's no age limit on a real estate license. All right. But now, getting to those other classes, those other courses, because I really still want to really hope people get this today, man, is that the careers that are out here. I mean, title companies. Yeah, I could talk about, well, we don't have enough black title companies, et cetera, which we don't. But hopefully someone out there will hear me and say, okay, well, you know what? Let me find out about what it takes to start a title company. Like you said, the crisis, the pandemic, and it's been said many times before, never let a crisis go to waste, and promotion comes from a crisis. Many millionaires and wealth is generated and built from crisis. And so it's refreshing to see our young people, many of them kind of lean toward the crypto craze back in 2020 and 2021, when there was a lot of stimulus checks that was coming through the doors. And so, yeah, people didn't want to they didn't go to work because they found out another way of making money. It just wasn't sustainable. They didn't learn the foundation or the principles of investing in stocks and bonds and things of that nature. What they should have done is tuned into the Crotchety Old Men show last year and we could have shown them some of the pitfalls and on how to use those options and things, and not be so focused on being a day trader. But anyway, I say all that to say this, is that the opportunities are there, you all, because we live in houses, we work and play in buildings, and we go to these venues and things of that nature. But we have to involve ourselves more in controlling, owning, and managing these properties, particularly properties in our own neighborhood, because that's where the wealth is. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just sitting here thinking as you were talking, as far as all the opportunities that real estate can give you. So I just made a list. Okay. So once you obtain the buyer or seller, um, there's a signage company. There's a
Hmm.
company out there that needed to make a sign. There's a company out there needed to create the business cards for you. Once you get the sale, you've got to go to a mortgage company, so you need a mortgage broker.
Hmm.
Um, Once you solidify the sale and the offer is accepted, then you need a title company to research the title to make sure it's valid. You then need an appraiser to go out and appraise it. There's also a company out here that I used a lot. It's called the closing company. So if you're doing volume, they basically once you sell once you sign the offer and it's accepted, you turn all the paperwork over to them. It's called the closing company, and they take care of all the paperwork. So from an agent perspective, you don't have to do any of the paperwork as it comes due. They have a checkoff list, and they make sure you have this document and that document. All you got to do is sign them and keep pushing them through to make sure you get paid. So, yeah, and they charge a small premium or percentage of what you make. That's not in percentage; it's a flat fee. But I used them on all my deals, and I found it was very beneficial because I didn't want to have to keep up with the different forms. I didn't want to have to be in a situation where I would make a mistake. So, sometimes you got to spend money to make money. I don't have a problem with that. But here again, I'm listing the companies that you need. That there's an opportunity for us to get involved because there aren't a lot in going through this process. I don't deal with any black folks. These, that's a fact, not a bad thing, but I'm just saying there's opportunity. So you need your closing attorney when you come to the table. Then you need your homeowner's insurance. And then if you want the insurance that protects, your home, I forget what they call it, but then there's another insurance that you need. So I can go on and on and on. And then once you get into the house, people are going to ask you about, gardeners and window folks and roofers and things like that. So there's a lot of different avenues, like you say, that just kind of snowballs when you talk about real estate. It's not just one dimensional. There's huge facets, and you can just specialize in one of these and make a decent and honest living. So those are opportunities we've got to look at.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm glad you used that word specialization. Specialize. Don't be a charlatan or a chameleon, a jack of all trades. Somebody told us that nonsense years ago, being a jack of all trades and a master of none. And that foolishness permeated from one generation to the next generation to the next generation. And my goodness, if you're listening anywhere with, and I'm going to say it loud enough for the people in the back to hear me, do not be a jack of all trades. Okay, you master become a master, all right, in whatever skill set you have. Become a master. Nobody wants a dentist that works doing teeth in the daytime and is an airline flight attendant at night, or works on cars in the garage, and all that kind of nonsense. Be a master, because in real estate, if you're spending sometimes, that's the most money people will ever spend in their lives when they purchase a home or a business or whatever. So you need to be educated on what your craft is. If you're going to be a real estate agent, whether it's residential or commercial, know your market. I saw some statistics that were appalling. Didn't have nothing to do with white folk. Heck, if you're a doggone real estate agent, you haven't sold but 2 to 4 houses in a year, stop, because you're in the way of other people that want to make money. Who does that? It's 12 months in a year and you only sell 4 houses. Come on. I don't care what the market is. That means you haven't made enough phone calls. You haven't serviced enough people. You haven't opened your mouth, as you said earlier, George. You haven't spoken to enough people. It have nothing to do with somebody denying a loan. It have nothing to do with some person of a different color or what have you stopping you from getting a listing. None of that mess. That comes from hard work. Okay, you're a real estate agent. I've been one before. We both know that, heck, until you pick up that phone or you get in front of somebody else that can fog a mirror just like you, nothing happens. And I think one thing that happened during the pandemic that it crippled some people. They got complacent, thinking that, oh, I can make hundreds of thousands of dollars just sitting here on this computer and not going outside the world and moving some checks and balances or whatever, or digits. That's not the way the real world works. So in this business of real estate, it's a contact sport. And you need to go out here and make contacts. So don't think you're going to get into real estate and sell mega mansions to whoever is out there. It's not going to happen. But what can and will happen, that as you continue to educate yourself, you continue to do transactions, and you continue to make inroads and things of that nature, before you know it, you look around and you've made a generational change in your family, your children, and your children's children that can be passed on. And this is the thing that we don't want people to miss. Okay. Same way with any of those other jobs, appraiser, mortgage brokers, and any of those other jobs and things like that, roofers. And I know people like that, and people of color who are excellent roofers and carpenters and contractors and stuff. And it appalls me when I go back past a construction site and I don't see any of us. We got to change that, and we can.
Yeah, it's a process, and we have to be, uh, on our game every day. We if
Yes.
this is what we've decided to do. So for myself, like I said, I got my residential real estate license back in 2000, and I still, I've kept my license active. I did my CE courses. But last year I decided I wanted to try the commercial side of it. So it's been a challenge, but it's been a welcome challenge because I'm challenging myself. But the way I'm doing it is attending Rotary Club meetings. I'm attending Chamber of Commerce meetings. I'm
Yes.
attending local gatherings of businessmen, so that I can meet more people, give out more cards, get my name out there. And with that, I've met so many people that are, willing to help. I have a mentor, so that they can lead me, that I can bounce things off of and say, this is what I'm doing. Am I tracking correctly? But I'm just applying myself, to this trade so that I can somehow get to where I want to be. And it's not gonna come just by me, like you said, sitting behind a computer. I've got to get out. What I tell my wife is I've got to make myself uncomfortable. Okay, I got to
Yeah.
put my and uncomfortable doesn't mean I'm afraid. Uncomfortable means I'm putting myself in a position where I'm challenging myself to
Right.
do things that I haven't done on a normally. Not that I don't have the intelligence to do it. It's just that I have to draw back on that intelligence and say, okay, yeah, I know how to do that. I've done this before. But until I put myself in that position intentionally, I'm not challenging myself and I'm not taking myself to to fulfill a goal and a dream that I've already established for myself.
Absolutely, man. You got, oh man, it's the building up of character. Just like becoming millionaires. It's not so much the money that we achieve, but as far as doing that, it's the person we become. You know, having the experiences that we've had, going through the ups and downs of life, ups and downs of business, losing money, making money, doing deals and things, finding out people are shady, finding out people that are good, what have you. Going through those experiences that builds character. And as you build character, certainly, like I was going to say earlier, that well, like it was with relationships. With character comes relationships. With relationships come transactions. With transactions comes checks. Okay, that's how pretty much how that's done. And we do business with people that we like and trust. And so when we look at those um, things, the standards of building character, doing business the right way, saying what you do and meaning what you say. We were in a conversation earlier and talking about, well, I told this lady I was going to call her back at 11:30, and I did. Or the lady said, and so you did what you said you was going to do. Nothing's worse in business or any facet of life than a man or a woman saying they're going to do something and don't do it. Okay. Spending the years I've been in commercial real estate as a broker, that was paramount. And yeah, because of the racism and things of that nature, or what have you, if I go to a meeting, a face-to-face meeting with my mentor, it's like I became a ghost, and the conversation was just two ways between him and the other person, what have you. Well, I figured a way around that. Since I didn't have a lot of black folk that own shopping centers and CVS drugstores and stuff like that. I had to do what I did back as a residential agent. I got on the phone, all right. And the skills that I learned as a residential agent, reason I was on the phone because I didn't have a car at the time. So I'll go on the phone all day long, making hundreds of calls per day. So I got used to the word no, but I also got used to having those listings. And after a while, I became a listing machine. Well, taking those same skill sets into commercial real estate, I had to do the same thing where people was wiring me hundreds of thousands of dollars for down payments. So I transacted millions of dollars in commercial real estate, having not once met the buyer or the seller face to face. Millions. This was before Zoom and before Team and all these face-to-face things you could have. But millions of dollars. Why? Because of the tenacity and the perseverance and the commitment of knowing I wanted to be in commercial real estate more than I wanted my next breath. And I was committed to the process. And so we commit ourselves to the process, whether it's becoming whatever it is that you choose in life, really, George. It doesn't matter. When we really think about it, there's a process to talk just about every career field out there. But you have to commit to the commitment. And so if you're not committed to that, committed to delivering the best service that you possibly can. Uh, Remember, we had this young man on the other day about doing rehabs and stuff like that. And one thing I really left from that episode was that he puts the best material in his houses. He hires the best contractors, and you pay them well. And look at the end results. And that's what people pay for because, yeah, you get big checks in commercial real estate, but you work your butt off and you earn those big checks. And people are not going to pay you that type of money unless they have full faith and confidence in your ability to deliver.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. It's about the process. I heard something interesting. The question was, what do you want to do? And they said, I want to make $1 million. So how do you want to do that? Well, if you invest in my company, if you give me $100,000, I'm going to turn it into $1 million. But how are you going to do that? Well, when you invest, I'm going to, turn it into $1 million. But what they're not understanding is the $1 million is the goal. It's not the process. Okay, so
Right.
what they're looking for is how you gonna get there. Give me your steps, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
And that's kind of where we have to go, and that's kind of what you just talked about. Whatever you want to do, you have to have a process. I'm gonna get up every morning and I'm gonna make X number of calls, and then after I make that X number of calls, I'm gonna attend these 2 meetings, and then after I do that, I'm gonna follow up with some more calls, some of the clients that I met at the meetings the day before, and see where they are. So it has to be a process, and you have to be diligent.
Yeah.
Real estate is something that's, like I said, it's all around us. You know, Somebody you meet is either has transacted a real estate deal, is about to transact a real estate deal, or is thinking about transacting a real
Mhm.
estate deal. So there's plenty of opportunity. Your job is really just to find that person. And here again, you can't do that without networking. Even my wife, she's brought me a couple deals. I ran into a so and so at an art thing, and she said she wanted to open up a building or a business, and she needs a building or she needs a facility. And I'll call them, and sure enough, it'll turn into an opportunity. So it's all over us, but we have to apply ourselves. And like I said, real estate is such an open field for those that not don't necessarily want to pursue a college degree. It doesn't diminish what you're thinking as an individual. I mean, real estate is a pretty prestigious job. I mean, it's good. It's a good job, and it has the benefits of any other job. Yeah, there you have to have some discipline in creating your own savings, your own retirement, and things like that. But that just comes with the discipline of how to manage your money and how to live right.
Yeah. Here's one disagreement I'm going to say right here. Real estate, if you treat it like a job, it's going to pay you like a job.
Okay.
But if you treat it
I mean,
like
I
a
used the
business,
wrong word, huh?
if you treat it like a business, it's gonna pay you like one. Because
There
this is
you
not
go.
the type of business that you're gonna go in on Monday and here comes Friday and you're looking for a check. You don't
No, that's
get paid in
correct.
real estate, okay? That's not. I've done. I get 1099, not W-2s. Okay, W-2s is a job. No, if you get in real estate, you get in any business. you're saying the same thing. It doesn't matter whether you're a title company, you're a appraiser or whatever. Nobody's giving you a salary. And I think that's so often that, again, as a group of people, we ask for the wrong doggone things from that place, that building over there on 1300 Pennsylvania Avenue, okay, in Washington, D.C. We ask for the wrong doggone things. We're marching and screaming and hollering about jobs, and we wonder why that wealth gap is so full and so deep. I think we have to get out of that mindset. In real estate, you're going to work far longer. As an appraiser, you're going to work far harder. I mean, as an attorney in real estate, you're going to work longer hours. I don't care what facet of job or careers that are tied to the industry of real estate, you're going to work longer hours. And you're going to work harder for that same amount of money, but you're going to make so much more money, and you'll have the freedom and everything that goes along with the independence of being your own business owner. So yeah, you're going to have a different mindset. Like you said, George, you're going to have to learn how to budget money. You're going to have to learn how to, what to spend. You're going to either spend money for a lavish lunch, or you're going to spend money for a doggone advertisement in a magazine or something where there's more in the Chamber of Commerce or what have you. I'm just trying to give some examples, but you got to invest back into your own business. Okay. And so, yeah, you got the freedom. You can make as much money or as little money as you want. All right. But for people, and it's so hard for people that's coming from jobs and they get into real estate and they find out that it's not a job, okay? Or they do it part time and they find out, oh man, this is taking up so much of my time. I didn't get a chance to sleep. Forget all that, okay? You need it, like you said, you got to be out. You got to be out and meeting people. You got to be talking to people. And at 5 o'clock, it shouldn't mean anything to you, okay, as a realtor, especially if you're a real estate agent or a broker. 5 o'clock means nothing but pick up that phone or call somebody else or go to a meeting. Other than that, you're not going to be successful. So,
Well, and Smitty, I want to talk about the rewarding part for me, and maybe just because of my personality, but the fact that every sale is different. You get an opportunity to work with so many different people in so many different facets of their lives. But the thing is, you can normally equate what they're doing to something that you've done in the past or someone you've experienced. But every sale is different. And
yes.
and for me, that's very rewarding, but it's a lot of fun also because you run into different challenges. You challenge yourself. You become a problem solver in most situations, and that's what it is. That you become a problem solver because you build a network of resources. And with those resources, I have a book. If somebody says I need somebody to come in, and I've heard this noise up in the attic of this house, and I think there's some raccoons or some squirrels up there. I've got a list of somebody I can call, and they'll come out and take a look. But you've got to be a problem solver, and you've got to enjoy doing that.
Yep.
But like I said, for me, it's the rewarding side of the job and kind of what stimulates me and keeps me going. But I think here again, the purpose of this particular discussion today was to encourage people to look at the real estate industry, whether it be from a investment perspective or from a opportunity or career perspective, and also the downline or the other particular back office opportunities that come along with that, because we've seen through our experience how rewarding it has been and can be for everybody. So it's just another avenue to look at, to if you, like I say, if you don't want to go to college, there are other opportunities, and then what we're trying to do is point out one that can be very rewarding for you.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you flat out, we're looking for more title companies. We're still doing deals. Okay, we may be crotchety old men on the podcast, but we're still young men when it comes to doing deals. Okay, so we don't want anybody to get it twisted. So we need you all. We need some more title companies. Sure, I'm happy with the one I'm working with, but I would love to have a title company of color that was specialized in commercial real estate and specialized in their craft or what have you, and so that those dollars can circulate. I love to build a team around myself. Sure, I have African American attorneys and things of that nature, but it's good to have, and I got an appraiser too, thank God, fortunately. But but as we build teams, relationships, and this is our love for self is not showing spreading shade on any other group. So just because I say I want a team of African American brokers and stuff like that. It's no different than some Jewish guy saying he want a team of other people within his community or families. Okay, so I don't want anything, thinking it's about race. It's about empowering ourselves. Okay, being self-sufficient. Okay, being interdependent rather than independent. I think this independence is what's brought about the separation of us of not being able to do business with each other. But what we need to realize that we are interdependent upon each other. Okay. I don't survive and succeed without you all. You all won't survive and succeed without each other. So we all need each other in this game called life to make this thing work. Okay. And so, like George said, hey man, we want everybody to win. And thank God that we have a platform where we can share ideas and information like that. And so there may be somebody out there who thinks, wow, yeah, you know what? I forgot about that. I could be an appraiser. I can be my own boss. I can set my own schedule. Yeah, because that's when you do appraisals when, there's time to do it. Okay, now I don't mean that you're out, goofing around, but hey, you can set your own schedule. And George's point, you can choose who you want to work with and you can choose who not to work with. Okay. Because all money is not good money. Not all clients are good clients. Not all people have your best interest in heart. And so you can decipher that and you can find that. And you don't have to work with people who are dishonest or have unscrupulous, behavior, what have you, or no character.
Good. So hopefully everybody's gotten something out of this today. I always get something anytime we review some things that, that are near and dear, to our heart. Like I said, we're both into real estate and we have been in it for years from all different perspectives, from investing to as consumers to now commercial. So it is a lot of opportunity out, and that's been our goal today. So Smitty, with that said, from the Crotchety Old Men podcast, what do you got to carry us home with today? What kind of saying you got for us? What you got?
Well, just real simple. Just this. If you concentrate on your calling, it keeps you from compromise.
There you go.
All right?
There you go.
Concentrate on your calling.
There you go.
So if you didn't know, what do we like to
Now
say,
you
Joe?
know.
Now you know. Peace from the
All right,
Crotchety
man.
Old
Take
Men.
care.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.
This is Dr. Paul Clemens with the Crotchety Old Men podcast. If you're interested in financial tools to build wealth, and you're interested in ways to maximize your health through holistic alternatives, then you are just the audience that we're looking for. Tune in each week, every Thursday, to the Crotchety Old Men podcast, where George Crumley, Gary Smith, and I offer you in-depth discussions on health and wealth. Subscribe to the Crotchety Old Men podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your favorite podcast.